Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Dr. Prashant Shukla and I have come up with a new case of a diabetic gummy cataract in which I am going to demonstrate the Hemiflip technique. Well, by this time one side put has been made, entry chamber has been filled up with trypan glue and entry capsule is being stained now. Viscoelastic 2% HPMC is instilled in the eye and some of the viscoelastic is sprayed over the cornea to aid in visualization. Rexis is started using a 26 gauge bend needle cystitome. The flap is everted and rolled slowly. At this point the Rexis hinted at going towards the zonular periphery, which was retrieved back. The flap is slowly moved. Now we are towards the end of the Rexis creation. The case is done very slowly so that each and every step can be well appreciated. The Rexis is now been done. This is towards the end of the Rexis creation and here the Rexis is complete now. Due to thick cortical opacities, the end point of the Rexis couldn't be well recognized. Now I am using a micro Rexis forceps and here the Rexis again hinted going to the periphery, which was then held and a little maneuver was then performed and the Rexis were retrieved back just like that. Many a times when we have got dense cortical opacities, the visualization is always a problem. So in spite of staining the capsule with trypan glue, many a times it's really difficult to actually get the hold of the tearing edge. So now I am making a 2.8 3 planar incision. Hydrodissection is one of the most important steps after Rexis in these kind of cases, because many a times the corticocapsular adhesions are really tight and in the soft nucleus the nucleus rotation is also slightly tricky many a times. Small fluid is injected just below the anterior capsular margin. The nucleus is then tapped using the same cannula 27 gauge. So these cases are difficult to chop, so I am switching to the conventional technique and here I am making a long thin trench. The power being used is about 45, bottle height is about 90. After sufficient depth with using the Phaco handpiece and a ball tip Sinski, the two pieces are being made. The two heminuclei are being tried to be separated, but due to the gummy nature of the cataract, it is sometimes very difficult to separate these heminuclei. Owing to the soft nature of the cataract, here I am using two Sinskis and trying to have a full thickness separation, and one Sinski goes behind the heminucleus and just lifts it up out of the capsular bag. Now using same Phaco power 45 and vacuum of about 250, this one heminucleus is being emulsified slowly. It's a good idea to just flip the heminucleus out of the capsular bag, because these kind of heminucleus are difficult to hold and they are very difficult to chop also. So we have to remove them, many a times we have to remove them as a whole. Slowly, with moderate phaco energy, the first heminucleus is being emulsified. Some epinucleus is also emulsified along with it. The second heminucleus is now being rotated and aligned into the proper position. Again, it is picked up as a whole and emulsified starting from the center. The phaco power is about 45 and the vacuum being used is 250. It is a Venturi based machine which would adjust the flow rate accordingly. This is the last piece. The SICS key is withdrawn so as to have a good antechamber. Coaxial IA is then being used to just remove whatever cortex is left. The cortex in these cases is very sticky many a times, so we have to just move the probe in a tangential direction. Avoid pulling the cortex radially. The tangential stripping method is a very good method and it is very good for the zonular health also. And slowly the cortex is removed. Now we can appreciate the extended rexus at about say 7 to 7:30, 8 o'clock. In this case, I also had an IOL shoot. We'll see just a moment. As soon as the foldable lens was injected into the eye, and suddenly there was a giveaway like this, yes, and it went like shooting into the capsular bag at around 5 o'clock. The other haptic was then put into the capsular bag and the lens was tried to be oriented in 3 and 9. The lens seemed very stable and central without any disfigurement of the rexus margin. So now I am using a Simcoe because I don't want to push in too much of fluid, because there could be some damage to the zonules as well. The bottle height is reduced to about 45 and slow irrigation using Simcoe just to do an AC wash to remove the excess of any viscoelastic is done. So just to confirm any vitreous or any strand into the eye, I have instilled some diluted pilocarpine just to constrict the pupil. The pupil is round with no evidence of any vitreous or anything. The lens is centered and now is the time to close the eye. Some air bubble is also instilled. Side ports are then being closed with hydration. The main port is also closed now with stromal hydration. That's it. The patient did well. Next day post-op picture, cornea was clear and she was 6/9 unaided. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.